What is the factor that's going to make the biggest difference that's going to stop intermarriage and these other problems? Right?
Education.
Jewish education. Almost 71%, if you went to day school or yeshiva, are highly engaged in Jewish life. Only about half that otherwise. So Jewish identity and your really depends upon Jewish education, a full-time Jewish education.
Baruchim Abayim, and welcome to Torah Talk Chazaq's program with special guests. We have with us our dear friend Rabbi Avraham Garber. Baruch haba, shalom aleichem. Thank you very much for joining us once again.
It's my pleasure.
Good to see you. Okay, great. We're going to be speaking about saving American Jewry. But before we get to that topic, if we get a little bit of background about the rabbi and the great work you're involved with.
Okay, so I've been really involved in Jewish education, or really in Kiruv, as long as I can remember. In high school and college, I really got involved. So I helped start the organization called the Jewish Flame, where we did Kiruv classes and programs and Shabbatonim.
This is where?
We started at Columbia University, and we went through all the major schools in New York, and then we branched out and we had schools all over the country. Wow. We had groups on all these different campuses. So I've been involved in Kiruv and Jewish outreach for nearly 50 years. I'm still teaching classes for the Flame.
Wow.
We used to run these summer programs at NYU, and every summer we have a whole 10, 15 different classes going on for summer. So we got a lot of people involved, and Makariv, a lot of people came back to Judaism at that time. At the same time, I was in Columbia Law School, and after I graduated, I started working as a lawyer. But I was really unhappy at that, and I met Rabbi Rosenblatt, Zatzal, and I ended up learning at Yeshiva Kesed Torah.
Right over here in Queens.
Right.
The Minion Factory.
Well, it wasn't a minion factory then; it was a
yeshiva.
It was a real yeshiva, and so that's how I got to know the Rosenblatts and the Rosenblatt family, and I've been in touch. We've been close for 44 years already since then. And after that, I ran a computer software company for about 25 years, and then I taught computer science and math in public schools for 13 years. I just retired this September. Nice. So, but while I was doing that, I also, for the past more than 5 years now, I've been the Rav at Kesed Torah.
Took over for Rabbi Rosenblatt.
For Rabbi Rosenblatt, Zatzal. And then in the interim, I also started Our Jewish Children. So that we started in about 2008. Maybe I'll tell the story a little later about how we started it. But just we've gradually been the organization helps students who, we like the Makah B'Patish, the last hammer blow. We give a little extra money for tuition support, and that kind of helps propel the parents to make that crucial decision that they're going to take that step and send their children to yeshiva or day school and not to public school. So we started with a small number of people, and then now we've helped over 1,000 students over that period of time, and it's getting more and more, partly thanks to Chazaq and you.
I got to testify that Chazaq and the whole PSTY team and Rabbi Avraham and everyone, we always hear the word, the name of the organization, Our Jewish Children. They're always supporting and helping public school parents with kids in public schools to make that help that the children transfer to yeshiva. So we're a testimony to that, and we're forever grateful. And wow, I didn't know that the rabbi's been involved for over 50 years. That's amazing. So being that the topic is saving American Jewry, Rabbi, what is the current situation for Jews in America?
Okay, so if you look, I made some charts, and if you look at the charts, you'll see that this first one's like a Gallup poll. So when I was way back in the early 50s, so close to 4% of the Jewish population. 4% of the American population was Jewish at that time. Now it's gone gradually down and down. Now it's under 2%.
Really? Of America?
America, yeah.
In the world, we're 0.0 something percent.
Yes, well, we were a more significant part of the American population. So why is that? So look at the next chart, shows intermarriage. So when I was growing up, the intermarriage rate was if you look at it, it talks about intermarriage rate by when people were married. So people that were married before 1970, basically says 17% were intermarriages. By the time I got married, it was up to 36%, and then it's been gradually growing. So now it's 58%.
Hey.
So that means that almost 3 out of every 5 marriages is an intermarriage, and so that's a big problem. It's really it's always been a big threat for American Jewry, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Wow. So let's look at the breakdown of that. So I made another chart. This data is from the Pew Research 2020 survey of North American Jewry, maybe just American Jewry. And if you notice on that chart, what's intermarriage? Of Orthodox, only 2% intermarry. We would consider that to be a lot. Conservative, 27%, Reform, 50%, and non-denominational, which is the majority or close to the majority of American Jewry, 69% are intermarrying. And so and then if you look at the fertility rate, if they do marry somebody Jewish, are they having Jewish children? Well, the Orthodox are. They average 4.1 children per family. But conservative is under replacement rate is about 2.1. You have to replace the father and the mother, so demographers, that's what the rate they give for replacing. Conservative is under replacement rate, only 1.8. Reform 1.7, and non-denominational 1.4. So there's no way that the American population is going to produce enough Jews in upcoming generations. So we have 2 major problems: intermarriage and lack of having Jewish children. So that's the kind of situation. And besides that, we have other problems. We have what's going on currently is an assault, really the secular society's assault on Jewish values, as we're dealing with. They have the lack of emphasis on family, lack of emphasis on community, on morality, on Israel, particularly now. The lashon hara, the slanderous speech that goes on so easily. It's so easy today to reach 1 million people and slander in a huge audience, slander a person across the whole world in a matter of seconds. The lashon hara that's going on is staggering. And the lack of emphasis just on study and Hashem and God. So all these are really an assault on Jewish values. And then, of course, we have the current problem that's gotten worse is just the physical issue of anti-Semitism, which everybody else is talking about. So,
wow. So what role does Jewish education have in this situation that we're in, Rabbi?
So I was always, when I was younger, the intermarriage was the issue that I was focused on, and I was trying to always see what is the factor that's going to make the biggest difference. That's going to stop intermarriage and these other problems. Right? Education, Jewish education. So I found some very interesting statistics that illustrate this. So there was a study in 2020 in Chicago of the Chicago Jewish population, and they actually broke down their study between those Jews that had attended day school, full-time day schools, and those that had not attended day school. So if you look at the chart, you'll see there's a significant difference in terms of the attitudes. So, for example, feel very much part of the worldwide Jewish community. So if you didn't attend a day school, only 29% feel that way. If you attended a day school, double, 57% feel part. How about emotionally attached to Israel? If you don't attend a day school, only 27% of Jews in Chicago felt that they were emotionally attached. But if they did attend, 65%. That's more than double.
Wow, that's a very big effect going to.
It's huge. And then this has impacts on other aspects of life as well. You feel people that feel very much that being Jewish is a part of their daily life. You didn't go to day school, 29%. Do go to day school, again, double, 57% feel being Jewish is part of your daily life. How about most of your friends are Jewish? 39% said of people that didn't attend day school, but if you attended day school, then 66% of your friends are Jewish on average. Marry somebody Jewish, same idea. So highly engaged in Jewish life. Again, almost 71% if you went to day school or yeshiva are highly engaged in Jewish life. Only about half that otherwise. So see just from Jewish education really depends. I'm sorry, your Jewish identity and your really depends upon Jewish education, a full-time Jewish education. Another chart here says that what percent attended full-time Jewish school for at least just 1 year. So 85% of Orthodox attended a Jewish school 1 year. Conservative, only 31%. Reform, 14%. And non-denominational, also 14%. So the difference of attending a Jewish school for 1 year is huge in terms of where you end up falling out on the spectrum of Jewish commitment.
These charts, I want you to know, Rabbi Garber is worth thousands of words. I see it. It's like, wow, it's unbelievable. Pictures worth 1,000 words, as they say.
I took this data and just compiled the charts myself. So, and then the last one here is what percentage of Jews say religion is important or not important in their life. So if it's very important, orthodoxy are off the chart, right? But conservative, only 33% consider Judaism very important in their lives. And even less if you're a reformer, no particular branch, 5%. The other way around, who says Judaism is not to or not at all important? Well, if you're not denominational, 47% say Judaism is not important at all in their lives. 53% of Reform say it's not important at all in their lives. It's much better. Conservatives 20% and Orthodox only 4%. So see that the if we want Jews to survive and prosper in America, in the diaspora, it's not going to work unless they have a full-time day school yeshiva education.
Wow. So inspiring. And to hear all this and the importance of Jewish education. So one's listening to this. How can one get involved in these efforts to help the situation, to change these numbers, to save more neshamas and souls and get people closer to Baruch Hu, God Almighty, send them to yeshivot, to inspire them to marry Jewish and things along those lines?
Okay, so there's many ways, but the easiest way is just to talk to your colleagues at work. When you meet other Jews that are not Orthodox or not sending their kids to public school, just talk to them about your experiences and how important it is. And I can tell you a story how we started out just this very way. We had a cleaning lady.
Interesting.
From Russia. She was an immigrant from Soviet Union, and she was only doing cleaning lady because when they come here, they don't have the professional accreditation to work in a professional job. So they have to make money in the interim while they're going back to school and getting their credits so they can do. So we had a cleaning lady, and in the Soviet Union, her kids, they didn't have any, in Russia, there was no Jewish education. She brought her kids here, and she wanted to have something, something more, because they felt that this is what was lacking for her in Russia. She wanted them to find out about Judaism, and her as well. So we suggested that we would help, and they didn't have much money, so we offered to help support her. So she sent her kids to YCQ,
wow.
And we helped to pay for their tuition. Okay, that was good. So then a few years later, her sister came over from the Soviet Union, and she was going to send her kids to public school. And I said, my wife and I talked to her. We said, well, look at your sister. Look at her kids. You should consider sending your kids to yeshiva. She again said, I can't afford to send. How can we just got here? We have no money. How can we send our kids to yeshiva? And we said, we'll help you also. You should know that today she's got 2 of her kids are learning in Kollel in Lakewood.
Wow.
From families, she's got from grandchildren. She said it was like the best thing she ever did. So we started helping other people. So and then since we had a number of these students at YCQ, so Rabbi Lahner, who was the executive director at YCQ,
our dear friend Chazaq.
Yeah, so he said, you're helping all these people. It's better if you do it through an organization.
And that's how our Jewish
students started. Our Jewish children started. Right.
Wow.
So
this is going back how long ago?
This is about almost 20 years ago. I think maybe 2006, maybe something like 2007. We formally organized it, I think, in 2008.
I want to repeat one thing that the rabbi said: the importance of speaking to others, to family members, to friends, to neighbors, to coworkers. As one that's involved in this, I've seen numerous times where it was just a small hello, how you doing, what's going on? small discussion. Oh, really? They go to public school? Will they be interested in yeshiva? You should know most people are interested. It's just there's small caveats, small details they're holding back. Whether it's just not knowing any better, whether it's not having the right context, whether it's this difference with regards to the tuition that they could afford or they can't afford. And Baruch Hashem, Siyata Dishmaya, thank God we've seen tremendous amount of children, over 1,800 more or less, the yeshiva placement tells me, at Chazaq, that have been transferred. Baruch Hashem. And every single person watching all over the world can make a difference as well. People think you have to be a rabbi, you have to be a pure professional.
Let me tell you a story about
Sure.
I'll mention his name is because this person, Eugene Horowitz, he was the one responsible for Kesed Torah having all the different minyanim. He suggested it to Rabbi Rosenblatt. But he's not just, he's a person who gets involved. So he knew this person that was working in Queens, his mother, and she was sending her kids to public school, and he pestered her. So why are you sending your kids to public school? They could have such a beautiful Jewish education if you send them to a Jewish school. But she said no, we can't afford it, but he didn't give up. This went on for not just 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and she told me about her, and we spoke to her. But eventually he wore her down, and she agreed. She sent one kid started out, and we've been supporting them ever since. And now all her kids are getting a Jewish education, right?
And it's so inspiring, so nice to know. What's chastis Mr. Horowitz has, besides for all the minyanim at Kesed Torah, which I'm a very big fan of because of my crazy schedules and I have to be here, there, and everywhere. So besides for that, but to save these neshamas, that's very, 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 very inspiring. Very inspiring.
Also, you can do is you can support organizations.
100%. If you can get involved with your time, funding is always needed. To support great causes, our Jewish children, Chazaq. There's many other great organizations that are involved with helping get Jewish kids into Jewish day schools.
And I'd add one more thing is that you can learn with somebody. There's organizations like Partners in Torah, Torah Mates, Emet Outreach, and many you can just go and learn with somebody. And when you learn with them, you develop a personal relationship with them, then you can also have an impact.
100%. We also have at Chazaq hundreds of different charuta options as well. Besides for those amazing relations that Rabbi Garber mentioned, time. Everybody has. Rav Moshe Feinstein, I think, said it the best. You know what he said? That just like we have to give meiser, which is 10% of our funds towards tzedakah, towards charity, he suggested that people should give meiser of their time as well. Spend some time, help organizations and teach others that are less fortunate. And something interesting? People think, I'm doing a favor by teaching somebody else. Many, many, many times I hear from the mentors that they benefit more because they prepare and they learn and they have questions. It says in Pirkei Avos that you learn the most from your students.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so very, very, very important and very, very true. Rabbi Garber, I'm enjoying every single moment. This is music to my ears. This is what we live for. But we have my final message on our Chazaq Torah Talks.
Okay, so I think one thing we can take from this, the main thing is that the main factor in Jewish identification for your children, if you want to have Jewish grandchildren, then you have to give them a full day Jewish education.
100%.
Right, not afternoon schools, but that's got to be the ikar and the essence. And I think I can give a Dvar Torah. I think that really right from this week's parsha actually. So. In this week's parsha we have the story of Sdom and the destruction of Sdom, and Lot is living in Sdom, and Lot is told that Sdom is going to be destroyed, and to save his family, so Lot goes out to his daughters who are married and his sons-in-law. So the pasuk says, "Vayetze Lot vayedaber chatanav." Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, and then it says Lokhe benosav, who literally means who took his daughters. And he says, Vayomer kumutsu mina makom hazeh. Get up, stand up, and get out of this place. Ki mashkis Hashem esayir. Hashem is going to destroy the city. What was their reaction? Vayehi kemitzachek beinei chasanav. It was like a joke. They laughed. This is like the silliest thing they ever heard. Okay? So the question in the pasuk is, if we know that there, it says there, he vayedaber chasanav, he spoke to his sons-in-law, and then Loche benosav, the people that took his daughters. Well, we know the sons-in-laws is a Hebrew word for marriage. Right. We know the sons-in-laws married the daughters. Why does he have to repeat it? What is being added from Loche benosav, right? All right, so Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch gives a very interesting answer. I think that's really relevant to what we're doing here. So he says that the Torah is talking about that literally taken his daughters. What does it mean they took his daughters? They weren't conventional son-in-laws because their values and their outlook in life was the values of the city of stone, corrupted. And so they took their daughters to their outlook, which was so different than the outlook of Lot and certainly of Lot's Avraham Avinu, Lot's uncle, right? So they couldn't really fit in with the family of Abraham's nephews. So they were just takers of his daughters. They weren't just sons-in-law. They were takers of his daughters. And that's why they thought it was a joke when Lot came in and tried to convince them that the city was going to be destroyed. But in contrast, Avraham Avinu was very, very concerned about the morals and values that would be transmitted to his grandchildren. So when he wanted to marry, we'll read in 2 weeks, when he wanted to marry, I get a daughter, a wife rather, for his son Yitzchak. So he made sure that Eliezer, he made him make an oath that he would find somebody who would have the same basic values of ethics and morality. And that was the key point. So Hirsch was writing in the 19th century. And apparently, there was much assimilation going on in Germany in the 19th century. And he said what was going on in Stone, the same shortcomings that afflicted Lot's sons-in-law was going on in Germany at that time. The values that was prevalent at that time was directly influencing the Jews, and so many Jews were assimilating in Germany in the 19th century. You say the same thing today, just like our time is no different. We have the same. Are the values of stone in our society, our secular values, are they going to become the values of our children and then our grandchildren? They can't stay true to Judaism if they are. So we have to be like Avraham Avinu. We have to be like steadfast in our values and not assume that we can remain isolated from the values of the society around us. And the only way to do that is prioritize living in an environment of Torah and having our children living and growing and learning in an environment of Torah. And that can only be accomplished in a Jewish school. So we should hope that we can that we'll find husbands for our daughters and wives for our sons. They'll be genuine sons and daughters, and not like Lot, where they're lokhe, they're takers of our children, but they'll be generally sons-in-laws and daughters-in-laws, and that way we can join in the common heritage of Avraham Avinu. So that would be the parting message I would leave.
Amazing parting message. Very, very, very inspiring, Rabbi Garber. Powerful points. Ma'aravitai, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are around the world, let's share this message to family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, everyone you know. Send this out, share the link, and let everyone know the importance of a Jewish occasion. Every single Jewish child deserves a Jewish occasion. No child should be left behind. We're on a mission. And Bezat Hashem, we want to save every single neshama, every single soul. Let's continue the amazing heritage and the Judaism that we have. And Am Yisrael Chai, we're going to stay strong. Bezat Hashem, I want to thank the Rabbi for all that you do for all of Am Yisrael. We're forever grateful.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, of course.
It's been a pleasure working with you all these years.
And we want to remind everyone, every single Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Chazaq Torah Talks with special guests. And Baruch Hashem, so much feedback that we get. It really feels good, knowing that, everywhere I go, people are stopping me and saying, listen to this episode, and this rabbi, and this Torah Talk, in this class, in this lecture. Baruch Hashem, we're forever grateful. We appreciate it. Suggestions for future guests are always welcome. Send us some feedback. info@chazaq.org, info@chazaq.org. Sponsorship and dedications are also available. Baruch Hashem, in the beginning of each episode, we have dedications. Feel free to reach out for that as well. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we shall all be zacheh, we shall all merit, b'zchut, in the merit of all the kiruv and all the holy work that's going on. We should be able to have the Geulah Shlema, the complete redemption.
Amen.
Amen. Speeding our days. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Natan Bahar behind the camera, the entire Chazaq team, and staff and board members and supporters. We're forever grateful. Rabbi Garber, that was really nice.